and very good morning to all. I'm Samar and I'm a PhD scholar from the Division of Food Science and Technology, and it gives me an immense pleasure and privilege to host this training program of recent innovations in post-harvest preservation and protection of agricultural and horticultural produce for entrepreneurship development. Time for worthy guests, I would kindly request our worthy speaker of the day, Dr. Ananata Saika, sir, Professor.
Thank you very much. A warm welcome. So I will not give the lecture of this type of thing generally we do in the class, because we are teachers, so basically you might have developed that habit of giving a lecture. But later I would prefer if you do the interactions. So I will not go deep into the teaching type of things. Later I will go for the basic things. Okay, I think you are mostly the students of this university. Maybe some entrepreneurs are also here. Basically also their background is probably from this university. And I believe you are from different branches of horticulture. So, before going into the basics of quality, just can you give me an idea about what you understand about processing? We always come across this word, one term, the processing. What you believe, what you understand about this word, processing this word. Say, we have different processed foods. For example, we have, say, one pickle is there, or maybe the final product, say tomato sauce is there. So for making sauce, we are starting with the tomato fruit. Then we wash the fruit or clean the fruit. Then maybe we are cutting the fruit. So these are all the way processing. So the processed fruit should not be confused that the final product is the processed fruit. There are different stages, and across the stages we have processed them. So a clean tomato may be a processed food. A washed tomato is also a processed food. So that concept should be very, very clear. And regarding the quality part, what do you understand about quality? Anybody can tell me what is quality? What do you understand about quality? Any idea?
Quality is a feature of the product that makes it attract towards the consumers. Consumers
Right.
are attracted towards that particular product.
Yeah. Just sit and we will interact. No need to stand. So the quality, say again I am giving one example. Suppose I am a processor and I want to extract the lycopene from tomato. My part is only I am interested for lycopene. And you have the tomatoes, you have a definite variety which is having a very high level of lycopene. But the fruits are often, or maybe infected by different viruses or bacteria. But I need only lycopene. And in one way, your the tomato fruits are infected. So quality-wise, you may say that these tomatoes are not of quality, a low-grade quality. But I am interested only for lycopene. So I will get your tomato and I will extract it, no matter what bacteria are there, what fungus is there. I will do it, supercritical or some better ways of processing. In that case, another one person is having a good tomato but less lycopene, but free of pathogens. Now which one you think that is of better quality? The rotten one having higher lycopene, or the good one with lower level of lycopene. Lower level of lycopene. Because my interest is only for lycopene. And you are providing me with a variety having higher level of lycopene. So for me, the better quality is that infected one. So it is the properties or parameters of a food which fulfills the requirement of the customer. My requirement is only a higher level of lycopene. So that is the quality. If you are providing me a lower, good quality fruits with less level of lycopene, that is of low quality. So while you are talking about quality, you must think that it must fulfill your buyers. Generally, we say there are two terms, quality and safety. These two terms are there. And very commonly people confuse about these two. Food quality. A quality food is a safe food. Okay? But a safe food may not be of quality. That I have already given the examples. Tomato free of pathogens. It's a safe food. But I don't like that quality because it is having lower level of lycopene. So these two things are here. Now, when we are manufacturing food, the first and foremost thing is that we must be very much careful about making the food safe. So basically there are three types of hazards that may occur in the food. The physical hazards, you might have known about that. Physical hazards may be the dust, metal pieces, hairs, nails, a lot of things may come. Plastics, glass, particles, those are the physical hazards. Then chemical hazards, maybe the pesticide residues, or in the processing unit we have some detergents for cleaning the floors. So those chemicals may come in contact with the food. So those chemical hazards are there. Then the biological hazards. Biological hazards may be your microbes, live insects. So if we see the flow diagram of your process, right from cleaning, harvesting, bringing the product to your raw material, to your processing unit, then cleaning, washing, then maybe cutting, maybe making the paste. There are different steps. And in every step, we will have to see what hazards may come. Okay? So probably you have noticed that you have knives in the kitchen. You are using knives for cutting vegetables, fruits in your kitchen. The sharpness of the knife at the beginning is very fine. Across time, the sharpness is gone. Why the sharpness is gone? Some parts of the metals of the knife has gone to your food. The sharpness, just see, the sharpness is gone after maybe 7 days or 10 days use. So why the sharpness has gone? The finer metal particles, they have been added to your food in the form of, say, macro molecules. So that metals have been added to your food. Now imagine the machines in the factory which are rotating at a very high speed for making powder. Quick flow, you are making powder. Chili powder, you are making in a meat. So the machine is rotating at a very high speed. So if a knife in your kitchen can be instrumental in adding metal particles to your food, then the rotating parts parts of the machine will certainly add metals to it. So this is the physical aspects. So we have to see. And removing those metal particles is very easy. Just put one magnet at the end, and magnet will separate the metal particles from your wood. But if the plastic is there, you have to take care. If the glass is there, that cannot be removed by magnet. So you must have a good policy for removing glass in the processing unit. Maybe you must have one policy for glass. You must have a plastic policy. You must have a glass policy for your factory. Because if those particles are added, that cannot be separated from your food. So the policy may be, for example, your Windows pan should not have glass in the factory. You may have something else which is not broken. Or you may not have the windows in the food processing unit. There's no requirement of, you can have your own light. The bulbs, electric bulbs, you cannot remove that one. But you must have some protection. So if the bulb is broken, then the glass particles may be separated. So those policies should be clearly mentioned. So I am not going into detail about that. The quality factor generally we see in the food. Food means here I am not talking about the processed food, any food. Maybe the vegetables, maybe the fruits, or the processed forms. The appearance of the product is one important aspect. This will certainly contribute to overall quality. Appearance of the product, appearance of tomato, appearance of cabbage, appearance of apple. By seeing the appearance, you can determine the quality. Like say color, shape, size. Those are some parameters of measuring the appearance of the product to finally determine the quality. Then the flavor is also there. By flavor also you can determine the quality. Then texture, simply by dusting or simply by masticating, you can determine the texture of the product. This is one aspect of quality measurement. Then nutrition. But nutrition cannot immediately judge by seeing the product. So it is not an acceptability factor. But the appearance is an acceptability factor. Texture is an acceptability factor. Flavor is an acceptability factor. By simply taking the flavor or studying the flavor, you can judge whether the product is good or not. By seeing the appearance, you can judge. By touching it, you can judge the product is good or bad. But nutrition, you cannot judge. So it is not a part of the acceptance factor. Here, I've already spoken about the quality and food safety. Here, just I'm coming to the regulations, but before that, I just want to tell you something about some historical things, you can say. Just I'm taking example of food color. But before that, you can tell me why we add color to the food. Why? Why we add color to our processed food? For better appearance. Is it like that? Is it for better appearance? You have a tomato sauce. The color is red. You add some blue color, white color. It will be a very good color. It will be looking very good. But is it acceptable? So color is not for making the product better. Color, you are adding color to look the product same as is natural color. We are not going above it. So during processing time, we are losing some color. So we natural. And the color is very, very important because we are living in a world full of color. So I give you one example of color. There are different shades of color. And earlier people used natural sources like the pigments for adding to color. But when you are adding the natural color, getting the pigments, then adding to the food is it requires a lot of expertise. And the main problem is that if you are adding a definite color from the natural source, then the second batch may not be equal with the same color. So there are a lot of problems. So people were searching for alternative of that. So in 1901, the first synthetic color was developed. That is the mauve color. It was the first synthetic color, mauve. And the food industry, they were so joyed to have that synthetic color because just a small quantity of the color and the effect is profound. So the industry, they started developing the food color, synthetic color. And there are a lot of different red colors, a lot of different green colors, yellow colors. I'm talking about mostly the basic food colors. By combining the primary colors, you can develop a lot of secondary colors, tertiary colors. So those are the first primary colors. And then the USA, for example, they started investigating the natural color, synthetic colors. Then they found that those are carcinogenic. So they started banning the colors one by one. And in the red color category, there were a lot of different shades of colors, more than 60. And that one by one, that was banned. And only one was left. That is the FD red number 42. That red number 42 color was left only. Only one was left. And that was again investigated and they found that this is also carcinogenic. Last one. It is also carcinogenic. And they started the process for banning that particular color. When the FDA started the process for banning that color, all the food industries of the world, they approached FDA. Because red is the primary color. If red is banned, then a lot of millions of colors are lost. So they approached the FDA and asked for some time. And they say that we'll try to develop some other colors. In the meantime, give some time. So FDA gave some time to the industry. When that red number 42 was there in the USA, in India we had 3 red colors allowed. Means the red number 42 is already there in the list. Remaining 2 were already banned in the US and proven that it is carcinogenic. But we were using. Our laws were allowing to use those colors. And Norway, at that time, they banned all synthetic colors in it. So there is no synthetic color. So if you are manufacturing a product and you are adding a food color, especially I am talking about red color, you export to Norway, that will not be allowed. If you export to USA using the other 2 red colors, that will not be allowed to enter into USA. So there were a lot of variations in the food regulations all over the world. And we are one of the signatory countries of the GATE agreement. Long back we signed. And later on the GATE agreement was converted to WTO, World Trade Organization. So we are signatory. Signatory for what? For free trade among the countries. if we have a different food regulations in every country, how this free trade can happen? So we need one common regulation. So the WHO, World Health Organization, and Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, these two organizations, they jointly stayed together and they formulated the Codex Alimentarius. And those countries who signed the WTO agreement, means initially GATT agreement, we are bound to follow the common food regulations set by the Codex Alimentarius. Now, the Codex Alimentarius, what the Codex Alimentarius says, it says that each country must have one common food law. There will be not more than one food law. There should be only a single food law. Earlier we had FPO, BPO, meat products order, fish products order, lot of different regulations were there. Marine food products order, milk and meat product order, lot of different orders. Prevention of Food Adulteration Act. So people were confused about the regulations. Now, as part of Codex Alimentarius, we are removing, our country has removed all the food-related regulations and installed a single regulation. That is FSSK. So that is the common food law. Now we have only one food law. And there will be no confusion about it. And as part of Codex Alimentarius, each country must have a food law at least at par with the Codex Alimentarius. So Codex Alimentarius is nothing but a set of standards for food. Some food standards, they have specified some standards. So a country can choose to be at par with the Codex Alimentarius standards, or it can go above that, but not below the Codex Alimentarius. So India is at present at par with the Codex Alimentarius. So we have a food law which is having all the standards specified by Codex Alimentarius. But USA, FDA has their own food law which is having standards above the Codex Alimentarius. So if you are sending a product to USA, your product should be at least above our standards. They have CGMPs here. Your HACCP is there. HACCP is everywhere. But they have certain specific standards which is above the Codex Alimentarius. So now we have the FSSAI as our national food law, and it has a specified several regulations for our products. So I am not going into detail about those things. This will be a bit confusing, but when you are into the business, so you must follow all the regulations. Here I will just specify one important thing. These are some of the things you can just go through my presentation. I will hand it over to your division to go through it. But I want to touch the main points here. Here you see, when we are implementing the Codex Alimentarius through our FSSAI guidelines here, in your processing unit, there are certain things, certain good practices are here. You have to follow the FSSAI guidelines, and it also provides the scope for implementing some certain good practices. Any idea about good practices? What are those good practices? So good agricultural practices is there, GAP. Okay. So good agricultural practice is nothing. Just don't be afraid about it. These are only systematic way of doing the cultivation. So you have to see the land. You see the history of the land. What crops were cultivated earlier before planting one crop. You may be growing 4 different crops. So you specify what crops will be there, and it should be easily identifiable. I am growing apple here. It should be identifiable. I am growing cabbage here. Identifiable. It should be identifiable. And you must have at least 5-6 years historical data. What crops were grown earlier. And those should be well documented. Then small things. For example, if you are using some chemicals for controlling pest, you should not take out some, say 100 ml container is there. Don't take out 10 ml and put it in a smaller bottles. If you are doing that, that is against the GAP. We have to use it. If you have female workers, so you must have all provisions for washrooms in the female worker. For male workers, you must have some provisions. If you are using animals, only animals will be allowed only when they are engaged in war. If the animals are not working at that time, the animals should not be in the field. You should not mix or prepare chemicals near the source of water. So those things are there. And whatever chemicals you apply, you must have the data recorded in your record book. So those things are small things, but these are good agricultural practices, and there are several bodies for certifying your cultivation process through GAP. Eurogap is there, Global Gap is there, InGap is there, lot of different certifications are there. Then GMP, good manufacturing practices. That is inside the industry. Then GSP is there, good hygienic practices. So your workers must be set for any health issues at a certain interval of times. Personal hygiene should be there. Your factory must have a good washroom for the workers with full lit environment. There should be sufficient light in the washroom. Then cleanliness in their clothing, all those things are there. So GSP is there, GLP is there, good laboratory practices. So you will have to ensure the quality. For that you must have a laboratory data and a laboratory assessment must be reproducible in other laboratories also. For that you must have a good GLP. So those are the good practices. So you must have the good practices in your unit, whether it is a cultivation team or it is a processing team. So the good practices must be there. Then the hazard analysis, I have already spoken about that. It's a very simple thing. Don't be confused about that HACCP. Hazard analysis and critical control point. So you just understand there are two parts. Hazard analysis, you must analyze the hazards, and then you have to identify the critical control point. And to identify, it's a very simple thing. Don't go by the books. It's a very simple thing. Just jot down the steps of your processing. Washing, you are receiving the raw material. Then what next? Maybe you are sorting your product. It depends on your product. Sorting, then washing. That way, you just jot down all and the entire processing flows in. And every step, receiving your product, then grading, 2 steps. So you identify the steps in the process. So that every step will be a control point. Every step will be a control point because you have a control on that particular. step. Grading. If you think that your workers are not good, then you can replace it. Or you can add some more workers there. Washing. You have a control over it. You have full control over the quality of water. You have full control over the machines. So these are the control points. So now, a control point may be a critical control point. If something happens there, if you fail to control one hazard there, then if that hazard goes into your final product, then only that control point will be a critical point. It's very simple. So every step you identify what physical hazards may be there, what chemical hazards may be there, and what biological hazards may be there. Just to identify. Now, for example, you have a water which is contaminated with some pathogens, for example, and you are using that water to wash your materials. But your product is a canned product. Okay. So, if you want to control that hazard at that particular point, control point, then you will have to invest additionally. Or you have to invest in the form of, say, maybe like water, maybe upgrading the machines. But if you are doing the thing at the end, if you are just canning it, then putting it in a retort, finally, whatever organisms were added in that particular control point, if that is still at the end, then there is no need of investing anything in that particular third or fourth stage. So that control point will not be a critical point. But if you are making a pickle and in the third step you are adding some organisms there, and that organism will go into your pickle at the last, because we are not sterilizing the product at the end. So then the third step where the organism was added, that will be a critical point. So in brief, you will have to identify the critical control point, which is a very, very critical. Critical means if something happens, it will go to your final product. Then only it is a critical product. And if you are having a large number of CCP, so you have 15 steps. Out of 15 steps, 5 steps are CCP. Then you have to revisit your processing steps. Because out of 15 steps, 5 steps are critical. Then your technology is not good. You have to improve your technology. So in a processing line, maybe hardly you can accept 3 CCPs, maximum. Not more than that. If you are having more than 3 CCPs, then that will be it. You have to revisit your entire processing things and improve your technology, change the technology. Maybe something you will have to do, not the existing one. There is a defect in your processing technology. You will find TQA, total quality management. So here, the concept is this: the quality must be managed. If something happens to your product, something bad happens to your product, it is not the product. It is not the persons who are responsible. It is the process. So you will have to improve your process. And if some good things are happening with your product, those good things must be shared among all the workers. So credibility is important. Trust between the workers. Coordination among the workers. Big one and the small one, lower grade employees, all should get equal weightage in the process and all should get the credit for that. So this is the basic principle of TQA. So here you see, these are the 8 elements of TQM. Integrity, ethics, leadership should be there. Every worker must have leadership quality. Teamwork must be there. And proper training should be there for the workers. And the communication between the workers. Here you see, roof, I'm going from the foundation. The foundation of the entire TQM is the ethics. There should be, the ethics should be very strong. Integrity and the trust among the workers. You believe your workers. What they say, it is yes, it is true. That is the foundation of TQM. And the building blocks, like the bricks, the training of the workers, teamwork, leadership, and the mortar to bind the building blocks, the communication. And on top of that, the roof is there, that is the recognition. That is why the big companies, they get incentives when the product is doing good in the market. All gets incentives, all giving, they get credits for that. So this is about TQM. So this is in brief about the quality and why we have the regulations and what are the important regulations that we have. So now I'm open for any questions. Ask any question. It may not be from these regulations and all this. Any question from anything you can ask.
So when we talk about the quality, so we always talk about the quality of the food that is consumed by us human beings. So when are we going to talk about the quality? Because so we are living in an atmosphere where we have animals as a part of our surroundings as well. So why can't we talk quality in that case?
Can you repeat the question again?
I mean to say that when we talk about the quality of the foods, we talk only about the human beings. Like if we are taking food, we say we have quality foods. So what about the animals that are living in our surroundings?
That's animals, yes. But you see, human beings and animals, these two, you should not separate it into two. We are also animals. So the main thing is that we the animals have something extra than the normal animals. You can imagine. You can remember the past. But most of the animals, they don't do that. But the thing is that they know the quality foods. But human beings, still today, we're still in search of what food is good for us. We don't know it now at the moment. We don't know what is a good food. But animal knows. Give a bad food to the dog, one sniff, he will identify it is whether to eat or not. If it is a poisonous thing, it will identify. But human beings, we should be very careful about human beings. Animals, I think they know what to take in the nature. They are living in the nature. So I think they are getting their good foods there. But as a human being, when we are going to the market, we have certain things in our mind. Number one, our food must be safe. Okay. That we must get the nutrients from there. And the nutrients are related. So, it reflects in the outward manifestation of different ways, appearance, maybe color. Color is one very good indicator of the quality. So, according to my view, among all the animals, Humans, they don't know what is a good food and what should be the quality. So we have to wake up the human beings for identify the right one.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Do you have any more questions or queries from?
Please ask.